Hi there, I'm Andrew. Welcome to Urban Rider for another look at some of the world's finest riding gear, and we're going to kick off the 2018 season with a fantastic new product release from AGV. Here we have the X3000 motorcycle helmet. A lot of blogs online have been describing this as a retro-inspired full face, but I don't think that's really fair because this is a full-on replica of the original helmet worn by Agostini in collaboration with AGV back in the 60s on the way to one of his 15 World Championship victories, and that makes this quite a special helmet with a pedigree that a lot of these retro-inspired helmets can't really live up to. So AGV have worked really hard to recreate the details of that original helmet, but of course applying all the modern technical safety features that you would expect to see. They've done a very good job. So the helmet is compact, it's slimline, it's made of a composite fiberglass shell, which means that it's strong and it retains the ability therefore to be small as well, and it really is a very well finished article. So this helmet is available in 3 different shell sizes with actually 2 medium sizes to choose from. So if you're around that kind of medium large point in the sizing spectrum, you get an extra size there just so that you can be sure you're getting the very best fit possible. So it's really lightweight, and AGV have kept the style points that made that original helmet so iconic in producing the X3000 here. So what we have, one of the main features is this slightly cutaway part on the underside of the chin bar, and that was there so that Agostini could get down as low and aerodynamic as possible on his bike in the tuck position, and it's really nice to see that recreated here. This was produced originally, of course, at a time when not everybody wore full-face helmets to race. Some people like Pasolini were still wearing open-face helmets, and incidentally his is available in the other part of the new AGV Legends collection, so we'll do a video review on that shortly. But a lot of the full faces therefore did have quite small chin bars compared to what we're used to today on modern helmets, and actually that's really nice for riding around town or going on a ride out. You get this really wide aperture, which is really great for taking things in. AGV have worked really hard on the actual visor system and visor itself. So this is a sturdy, chunky piece of injection molded plastic. The visor is clear as standard fitted with the helmet, although there's going to be a range of color options available that you can purchase as well in addition to that. And we hope that there's also going to be a pin lock version. We've been promised by the distributor that that's coming later in the season, which will be great for using it, of course, in damp, moist conditions, making the helmet more practical through more of the year. So the visor has a really lovely, sturdy, quality and well-built feel to it. Each point in the open and closing mechanism, there are several intermediate positions you can keep it in. Feel really sure, there's no rattling, and it feels like it's very sturdy and very well put together. You also get a really good seal around the periphery of the opening, which isn't something you can take for granted in the majority of the retro-looking full-face helmets on the market. A lot of the time the shell and headline features get a lot of attention, but the actual visors are stuck on a fair, and often you don't get a very good seal, which means you can get air and even water coming down the inside of the visor, which is something that nobody wants. Whereas here they've created a really lovely seal all the way around, and that's actually also good for soundproofing as well as weatherproofing too. So really nice to see that AGV have put that attention to detail there. Another really clever design here is the integrated ventilation system. So usually to create vents, you kind of drill a few holes, put a fancy looking grill on it for an intake and an exit vent, and that means that the shell ends up having lots of holes in it, which can weaken it, but also it ends up ruining the outer line of the shell. So the original didn't have that, so they wanted to do something that didn't alter that fact. So on the middle point, on the upper part of the visor, you may or may not have noticed it here, but you've actually got this rubber bung, for want of a better word, that seals a hole, and that can just be pulled off. There is actually a storage place in the helmet on the underside of the neck roll. They've actually put a little pocket, a kind of kangaroo pouch thing that you can just slide that into so that you can actually keep that stored within the helmet, so you don't forget where you actually put it. And that's quite a neat little system there. I was convinced that you would end up losing it, but AGV apparently are supplying 2 with the helmet, though don't hold us to that. I'm sure spares will be available because inevitably people will lose them. And that opens up this intake here. So as you can see, there's an intake on the upper part there, just on the opening, and that leads to an integrated channel system that goes in between the shell and the EPS liner. And you can see these channels here. I've actually removed the lining from this one, so you can see these channels running all the way through the middle of the shell, which is very effective at creating an airflow going through the helmet and keeping you cool. The only chance I've had to actually test ride this helmet was yesterday on my ride back home in -2 conditions and in the snow. So it wasn't ideal, but I can definitely confirm that the integrated ventilation system is very effective. I was absolutely frozen But it works really well. The helmet is also as a result of this really good seal on the visor, slightly quieter than it would otherwise be. It's not going to be as quiet, of course, as a street touring helmet or anything like that, but for a retro helmet, it's pretty damn good. So the fit is what was called intermediate oval, which is essentially a sort of universal fit. Unless you're really far at one end of the spectrum in terms of your head shape, you should get on with this fine. And AGV sizing is always true to size, so you can shop with confidence. We do free returns and exchanges if you have any doubts at all there. So inside the helmet, and you've got a liner that is easily removable. It's a micro suede liner, which is really comfortable. It's nice and high quality, and because it's removable, it can be washed, so you can keep the helmet clean as well. And it removes via a system of poppers, but crucially, around the front part of the helmet here, there's actually a system of fins that just slot in between the liner and the shell there. And that means that there's not going to be any pressure points that would otherwise be created by poppers on your forehead. So people with more oval shaped heads like myself, that's a really lovely feature. Very pleased to see that there. So spring is going to be on the helmets are available. Plain colours are going to be $299. It's going to rise up for the graphics slightly, but then it's going to jump up considerably if you are looking at one of the replica Agostini helmets, as they are a limited edition run of 5,000. So you're going to be paying considerably more for that. But I do think that the standard helmet represents good value, and we're really pleased with them so far. We previewed them at the bike show in London just a couple of days ago and went down very well. So if you've got any questions, comments or feedback, anything we may have missed, please leave it in the section below. We'd love to hear from you guys, as always, with new product releases. It's very, very important for us. So stay tuned. There's so much great stuff coming out for this season, which we're really excited to tell you about, and we'll do so very shortly. So we'll see you then. Goodbye.